Now, before we start to give you a general idea of why we need classifications and properties all together, if we open up right now in options, you will find pretty much everything right over here. You got the property manager and you got the classification manager, which are going to be the two main windows we use for this particular section, and the next one, which is about expressions. Okay. In first place, let's open up property manager, and right over here you will notice that there's keep in mind that this is the template. This is a native ArchiCAD template, but already we got just a bunch of information that we can specify. You got information like general ratings for a product info, information about the manufacturing, information about main construction, environmental, openings, flooring, zones, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, but this is just the basic information. Now you can imagine if, let's say, we're working on a more detailed project, executive or constructive project, with a level of definition lot 350 or even 400. Well, the amount of data, the amount of information is just going to be insane, okay? Keeping this in mind, you can also notice that, for example, if we model a basic wall over here, let's model something like this, ArchiCAD in the wall settings, right over here, this is the other window that we're going to comment for this section. For each object, we always get a classification and properties window over here, okay? And right over here you can notice that the data is going to be filtered. You're not going to have all the possible available data from the general database that ArchiCAD integrates, but it's only going to be the relevant data for this wall. The rest of the data is going to be hidden, okay? For example, if we create an opening, something like a door, maybe a window, okay, let's select the door. Let's go into classifications and properties. You will notice that we only get the data relevant to the door, okay? And we also will get the data relevant to the window. Let's position this window. Let's go to classifications and properties. The same will happen over here, okay? For example, let's position any type of object. Let's check out the classifications and properties. And yes, we only have data relevant to this object. So ArchiCAD is filtering out some information, some properties from all the available properties in the ArchiCAD database, okay? And this is happening because in first place, some classifications, for example, site, space, elements, components, elements, you will notice that right over here, some type of data is going to be linked for each classification, okay? We got elements classification, which will have available this type of data, space classification, available this type of data, site classification, available this other type of data. It's not going to have pretty much all types of 500 data that is going on inside ArchiCAD. So the idea first is that we in first place create classifications so we can help filter out which data is going to be relevant for each type of object. And the interesting thing is that there are standards that we can use for each type of region, for each type of country, that will help us classify each element a little bit better, so it is understandable with other collaborators, with other companies. This is just a standard that we can take into consideration to work more efficiently. This is a page that I'm going to comment in a little bit, but we got a bunch of different standards dependent upon each country. In Italy, for example, we got the HG Demanio standard. Maybe in Germany we got the ONORM standard. In the UK, in United Kingdom, we got Uniclass or Uniformat. In the United States, we can use, for example, OmniClass, and the list goes on and on, okay? You can even, for example, review PDF files. There are multiple formats redacted in PDF formats, which will explain how the classification system is going to work. For example, Uniformat, which is a classification system used in United Kingdom, in UK, is going to have a 3-level structure. We can classify major elements, major group elements is going to be the level number 1. We can classify these with letter A, B, C, or D. A is going to be substructure, B is going to be the shell, C is going to be something related to the interiors, D is going to be services, and so on, okay? And then we also get a secondary level, which is going to be level 2. We got major group, then we got group elements. You can classify something as a substructure, but this one is going to be divided into foundations, basement, or superstructure, which is, well, these ones shell, superstructure, exterior enclosure, roofing, and the list goes on. And then we can even divide this into more something a little bit more specific. In level 3, we can classify these as an individual elements. We can use the code, the ID A10 and 10, A10 and 20, A10 and 30, and so on, to refer to an element such as part of a standard foundation, maybe special foundation, maybe some type of slab on grade. Then we got basement excavation, walls, floor construction, and so on. Okay, so you can, for example, create specific nomenclature for each type of classification. Okay, it's going to make the process of identifying elements much easier for other people, and it's also the everything is based upon an international standard which is accepted by each region. For example, to give you another quick idea, we can also go ahead, use Uniclass or OmniClass. For example, OmniClass, which is used in the United States. If we we visualize this document, we can find different types of OmniClass numbers, which will refer to different types of classified elements. Okay, it's going to give you the level of the specific level. Level 1 is general, and the higher the level, the more specific the element. Okay, so yeah, you can, for example, visualize different types of classifications. For example, this code is going to be everything related to the unit masonry stabilization. Okay, or if you use, for example, this code over here, you refer to all types of masonry elements. Okay, so yeah, this depends upon the region. I'm going to include these 3 PDF files in this present lesson, so you can take a quick view, take a quick look for these different standards. But I want to make clear that we're not going to use a specific standard for this section. What we're going to do is we're going to start from scratch, but in a more general, in a more simple way. Okay, we're going to take as inspiration Uniformat, which is one of my favorites, but we're going to work on this in a more free manner. Okay, as always, take as much time as you require. Make sure you check out, just give a quick glance to Properties Manager, give a quick glance to the Classification Manager, give a quick glance on what's going on in the Classification of Properties tab for each ArchiCAD element, and also check out the different PDF files that I'm going to annex over here. Okay, and having said this, now let's proceed with the next lesson onto another type of topic.